Bye week wrapped up, and I think it did come at a good time for us, kind of about that midway point, played 6 games, and took a thorough look at really every play of those 6 games and analyzed it a bunch of different ways, looking for obviously some tendencies, where we got to improve on, some things we've done well that we got to be able to build off of. Thought the coaches and the players did a nice job of kind of doing that. Practice just on Wednesday last week, and then we did go last night, getting a little bit of a head start on Iowa, but I appreciated the approach of the guys through the week. And then there was some that just getting refreshed, a couple of days off, get their mind away from it. And so I was pleased kind of with how they approached the week. And now we're headed into a big-time challenge coming on Saturday, a program I got a bunch of respect for, the way they do things, the longevity of Coach Ferencz, talk about one of the best in the business. I think I read he just won his 200th game, which is just so impressive. I think it looks like an Iowa team that plays physical brand of football, running the thing, high-end defense, special teams is elite. They can beat you in the pass game offensively a little bit on what they've shown this first half of the season. So we got a big-time challenge coming from homecoming weekend. So excited about getting a bunch of alumni back for a night game Saturday night. Questions?
Jonathan, how much is this a different test than what you saw the last 2 games, Ohio State and Oregon? Oregon did run the ball effectively against you guys, but just schematically what they do in the setup.
Yeah, schematically, I mean, they are committed to making it physical, running the ball. I think defensively, the scheme, the players, they give you a lot on that defensive side. So it's a different challenge, and they're playing really well. I mean, they had a nice win last week, handily. And you look at really their 2 setbacks this season are against 2 really good teams.
Jonathan, when you got your system in and your players at Oregon State, you ran the ball about as well as anybody in that conference. Do you have to run the ball better the next 2 weeks to win?
Yeah, we need to get improved in the run game. We want to do that, and that's why, again, going back this bye week, taking a look at some of the things that we got to do better. Because I think successful offenses, successful teams can run the ball and stop the run.
What did you find? What did you fix?
Well, I'm not going to give all our flaws or our strategies moving forward, but we did find some tendencies of where, the negative play in the backfield has to go away in our run game, and so we're trying to implement a couple of things to take that out of play.
Coach, it's your first homecoming right here. Coach, it's your first homecoming game as at Michigan State. You've been a part of homecomings before at Oregon State. Now that you've been here a couple weeks though on campus, what are your kind of expectations from campus, from the alumni going into kind of a big game around the school?
Well, I'd count on the atmosphere really throughout the weekend, but day of the game to be festive. I think homecomings are special about college athletics, multiple alums coming back and enjoying their time leading up to the game. So the tailgating, the atmosphere, the Spartan walk, I'm counting on all of that being exciting with some energy.
I'm wondering about, with the proliferation of all these night games, what are the challenges and complexities that coaches and players face, and kind of what's your personal sentiment on, I think you're almost at a half dozen night games.
Yeah. Night games are what they are. We don't control the kickoff times, right? And so you got to approach it with knowing when the kickoff is. It's really about the back end of the game, right? So you kick off late, you finish late, and so the turnaround time, the recovery time, try to emphasize that, do a really nice job on Sunday. Makes a difference whether you're kicking at noon or kicking at 7:30 about the really the next day. We don't control it. You'd love to have a little bit of a mix, but we're going to line up and play anytime they let us.
Coach, you talked about it somewhat early on, but pros and cons of a bye week. What keeps you up at night? What makes you feel a little bit better? Can you educate us on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think sometimes the pros are, you've gone through a rough stretch to be able to take a deep breath, get a little bit of recovery. I mean, that can be a pro for a bye week. Some of the cons, if you're in a nice rhythm, sometimes you want to stay in that rhythm. And so there's 2 ways to see the bye. I do think for us, where we're at currently, this time of year, it came at a good time.
Jonathan, over here, going back to this, evaluating all 6 games as you went through them, I'm wondering what moments did you just like cringe and think, boy, if we just had that play? And then were there things you thought, oh, we're closer there than I thought, or this is going okay? What was sort of the overall evaluation of that?
Yeah, I start with the kind of when you cringe. Obviously, when we couldn't finish, we had multiple opportunities offensively through the first 6 games to finish some things, and we didn't do it. Whether getting stopped in the red zone, turning the thing over. That at the flip side of that, when you're cringing, we're that close. We just got to take the next step of being able to finish. I think there's opportunities. We look at us defensively, take the ball away a couple of times would have changed things, and so those things kind of individually stood out to me on the 6 games.
Jonathan, on the whole of those 6 games, you guys' run defense, I think, has been pretty good. When you went back and looked at it, what stood out to you in that regard? And looking toward Iowa, just how important is it going to be to get back to that? And then what are the things that they do well on the ground to get that going?
Yeah, it does start with stopping the run, and we've had some success. 6 games, you throw it all together, playing some run defense. I think it does help the tackles for loss, right? Statistically, when you get some of those numbers, and we're going to have to play a team defense against this run game. They've got a mix of schemes, so it's not just all one particular run play. They got a nice back that's not easy to tackle, and so going back to the team defense, we get multiple guys to the ball to bring this guy down.
John, I was wondering about Michael Masunas. Looks like he's out for the year. Just how that transpired and what the path is for him.
Yeah, we were trying to take the last couple of weeks to just see if he could kind of get to a place that he felt better about getting back out there. He just did not, over the last couple of weeks, get to that point, so made the decision to call it good for this season. And we're, tough blow, support him. Do feel like we got some depth in that room that's played the last couple of weeks, can carry the load.
And then, is there any of those guys that were long-term that are close, you think are going to get back, Alante or Dylan or, Chance?
I think the closest one would be Alante. We'll see. I'm hopeful he can get back by the end of the season. He's moving around a little bit, but getting cleared to play in the game, he's not quite there.
Matt kind of stole my question there. I was going to actually ask that as well, but I'm wondering from the offensive line standpoint, because that was obviously going into the bye week. You've been moving guys around. There had been some health issues there. How did you kind of work that in terms of what your assessment was of the current playing group and maybe making potential changes?
Overall assessment, we got to find some consistency. We hadn't played as consistent as a group of 5 out there that we've liked. We got to find a way to get more of that. These guys were working. Emphasized that a little bit on Wednesday, playing a lot of good on good, to be honest with you, and that was a lot for the line of scrimmage. One, for ourselves to continue to find that consistency, O-line, but really every position, and then looking to what we anticipate this game being so physical, we wanted to kind of replicate that in practice.
You feel like, where do you have, in terms of numbers right now, it's been pretty static at 5, maybe 6, do you feel like it can expand a little bit?
Not totally. I mean, again, 5 and 6, we've got multiple reps with guys. We want those guys to continue to get more consistent.
When we saw Kirk Ferentz in Indy stop me and said, hey, you got the right coach. Do you know him or just know about him? And what do you think of when you hear Iowa football?
Yeah, well, don't know Kurt well. Traded some texts and things. Awesome kind of career he's put together. Just got respect for a guy to be in this business long term, and just the stories you hear former players talk about him, not just about wins and losses and his approach. I just got the utmost respect for it.
Coach, Iowa's defense has been their strong suit over the years. Does facing defenses like Ohio State and Oregon not just help you prepare for Iowa's, but stronger defenses around college football?
Yeah, I think it does. When you play, high-end talent, but scheme, and these guys do a really good job schematically. They got good players from the front to the back end of the thing. They take some pride in their style. They make you earn it, right? They're not just blitzing every snap. They've been opportunistic in regards to taking the ball away, and that just plays right into their hand, the style of program with the run game and special teams.
Coach, in terms of penalties, what steps are we taking to reduce them for the next 2 weeks? Especially, we are on track for, a bowl game. What are we doing there to help reduce those?
Yeah, you try to. You want these guys playing full speed to the whistle, not after it, right? And then you definitely want to eliminate the self-inflicted before the snap, right? Some stuff that we entirely control. And, but 3 wins for us this year, our penalty in was sky high. Well, we got the penalty things a lot better, and we're 0 for 3 the last 3 weeks, so I'm not certain the penalty sides. We're not trying to go 0 penalties. That's not the goal. But we want to definitely be smart and play with awareness.
Jonathan, just to clarify, is Wednesday the only day you guys practice? on the
Last
bye?
week, yeah.
Is
And,
that-
and then yesterday.
Is that typical for you, or did you feel like they needed some extra time, I guess, or is that sort of how you?
It kind of where it plays, typical, depends on when your bye is, and with us going 6 straight weeks, especially the, quick turnaround, Ohio State to the travel of Friday night in Oregon, it felt like the recovery was really important. That's why we went just once.
Gotcha. And just for you, I mean, as a head coach, do you get away from it at all? How do you unplug, if at all? What's that look like? for you?
Yeah, a little bit, got a little bit extra family time, but really on Saturday, of course, found myself watching a little football, but, got a little time there. I think that's important for really the entire building, players, coaches, to find some time to, get away from it. And I think most coaches did get a little family time on Saturday.
I guess what are you talked about some of the negatives, but what are the biggest maybe positives you saw to that 6-game evaluation, things you really think you can build on to improve for the second half of the schedule?
Yeah, got a lot of snaps of playing team defense. I think the effort and the how factor they've been playing with for 6 weeks, if we can sustain that, that's something to build off. I look at us offensively. We've had plenty of times capable of moving the ball for longer drives, not just like 2-play hits or something. We just got to take a step in finishing. I think on special teams, I think we're kicking the ball pretty well. You look at statistically how we're punting, kickoffs, and obviously Jonathan Kim has been lights out. So those things have been really good.
I'm wondering about the penalty question. Kind of makes me look at Iowa. They don't get penalized very much, and when you play against a team that doesn't get penalized very much, do you have to plan differently, or do you prepare for that? Or
Well, you just they make you earn it, right? They're not going to just give you freebies here and there. And so they're playing with great technique. Their hands are thinking about offensively, hands inside. This is a good old line, well coached, that, don't hurt themselves, flip it on the other side defensively. Got a bunch of them just giving you free 5 yards or 15 yards here. And so they just make you earn it.
You said you watched a little football Saturday. I assume you might have caught a little of Ohio State at Oregon, having just played those two teams. What was your take on that? Kind of an instant classic.
Yeah, I did see that one, not start to finish, but a lot of it. Just impressive, two teams playing at a high level, going back and forth. Both those teams responding.